God's a very big part of my life. There's been times in my life, we all go through those dips.
In your last response, you talked about you believe in God.
Yeah.
And I would like to know that how is that relationship, whether it's faith/God, how has that evolved? Was that as part of growing up in your life? And because I think it's very critical, as you said, talked about that 2 minutes out, you pray. So I think it's very important for you. So we'd love to hear that story.
Yeah, so I was born into a Christian home. My parents are part of a Methodist church in South Africa. Dad plays guitar, so he was part of the church band, and Mom was in Sunday school. So God and faith has always been a part of my life. Went to Sunday school, went to church, got confirmed at 16. So I was christened as a baby. So it's always been there. There has been times in my life where I've tried to do life without God and I failed. Because again, life can get really, really hard. And I think if we're only depending on ourselves or those around us for sometimes that miracle we want to see, it can be really, really hard. So I find God's always led me back to him in some way, shape or form. And I guess sometimes you just have those moments, right, where it's just, you can just feel like it's not just a normal moment that there's some other, this is maybe just me, but there's something else that's speaking volumes to you. And again, it might be through different signs, like, with the podcast starting, there was 3 different people who said the same thing. So again, I think God has different ways, and the universe, whatever that is for you, different ways of speaking to you. And I think a lot of us are blinded to those signs because our mind, especially if you don't believe, you might not be as open to seeing that. So God's a very big part of my life. There's been times in my life, we all go through those dips. And I think, just having that supernatural support, shall we say, has really helped me get through those. So, and incredible humans as well.
And I want to delve a bit more on that thought. Because the idea of praying and sitting down and expressing into the ether, how is that process for you individually? And because, the belief system works, the belief is that I am saying few words or praying and then putting out an intent out in the ether.
So are you asking how I implement it in my day?
How it has worked for you, and then how has that evolved? Has the whole idea of sitting down or meditating / praying evolved in your life?
Yeah, so I think growing up, obviously on a Sunday at church, that was very God focused. But then I would always pray before bedtime. But then sometimes you fall asleep mid prayer, so because I was lying down. So I've now moved it to part of my morning routine where I'm in the right position to pray as part of my journaling process. And I think it also is a way to kind of be like within yourself. It's not a bit out there, but be within yourself, gather your thoughts, always give thanks first, and then, ask for whatever it is that you intending for. Yeah, so I bring that into my day, or if there's something big throughout the day that's happening, I always try and just, I was in the bathroom, I don't know why, I guess I could just stand there and pray and whatever, but it's also just trying to get away from everything and then just setting that time to, just ask God for strength or help me to honor this person's life and my audience's life by showing the best side of them in that, in the podcast or whatever it may be. Or to calm my nerves, because sometimes, if it's a speech that you're doing or a podcast or a presentation for a proposal, there's a lot of nerves associated with that. So I always just like to think God's got my back as I go into whatever it is that I'm about to do. Yeah.